Hi, I'm Kate Forte and I'm a park naturalist here at the Burlington County Parks. Today I wanted to talk to you about something I find really enjoyable when I'm out in the park system, which is birding. Birding is an activity that you do when you're walking around out in nature, and essentially you are trying to ID the birds that you are seeing. You often hear the term bird watching instead of birding, and they are pretty much the same. However, with birding, you are walking around an area and being more active, whereas in bird watching, you are sitting in one place. So birding is a really great hobby to take up and learn anytime and practice anywhere. You can be on foot, on a bike, in your car, or just even in your backyard. What's great about birding is that you don't need a lot of equipment to start. If you never birded before but always wanted to try, here are a few tips to get you started on your birding adventures. All you really need are your binoculars, a field guide or a field app, and a favorite spot of yours that you can walk around and just kind of observe different activity. The first thing you need to know about binoculars is how they are described, which is two numbers, their magnification, and their objective lens diameter, which is in millimeters. So on a focus knob on binoculars, you'll see the two numbers, and on my binoculars it shows 8 by 42, which means the magnification of these binoculars is a power of 8, and the objective lens diameter is 42 millimeters. What you want to do when trying to calibrate your binoculars is you're going to cover the right eye and then focus on a stationary object about 25 to 30 feet away. Looking through your left eyepiece, you're going to want to move the focus knob, which is up at the top, until that object is crystal clear. Once it's crystal clear for your left eye, you'll take the right eyepiece, cover up the left eyepiece, and do the same thing looking through, but instead of using the focus knob on the top of the binoculars, you're actually going to use the diopter, which is on the right eyepiece. And you're going to take that and focus until the object is crystal clear with the diopter. If you're looking for a birding pair of binoculars, it's good to stay in the 7 to 8 magnification range, as well as the 35 to 50 objective lens diameter in millimeter range. And this is because the longer the objective lens diameter, the heavier the binoculars get, and you don't want heavy binoculars when you're walking around for a few hours at a time. The advantage of a longer objective lens length is that it helps to bring more light into the binoculars, which also helps put more things in focus. When you're focusing on a bird in the field, you want to first try to find it with your naked eye. Once you get it with your naked eye, you want to just raise your binoculars up to your eyes and then find it. Don't try to move your head, because the second you move your head, it's going to be very difficult to keep the bird in one spot. If you're looking for a bird that's perched in a tree, follow the tree trunk up to about the general area that it's at and pan left or right to see if it's closer or farther to the trunk. That will make it a little bit easier for you to have a landmark to go back to when you're trying to find it with your binoculars. Those are the brown-headed cowbirds perched in that tree over there. The males have a darker brown head and a black body, where the female is a little bit lighter brown. Many times once you find a bird with your binoculars, it will become obstructed with leaves or branches. Make sure you don't take your binoculars off the area that the bird was in, because once you do, it's very difficult to find it again. Your arms might get tired, but it'll be worth it once you get that perfect look of them. Another useful tool to help you identify that bird you saw on your nature walk is a field guide. Field guides are made up of descriptive text, collective bird images, and range maps to show where the birds migrate to and from, or where they live year-round. When you look through a field guide, you're going to see birds ordered taxonomically, which just means by their bird families. And what they do to make it a little bit easier for you to flip through the field guide is they color tab the bird families, so you can find them a little bit quicker. These guides are very useful, especially in the spring and fall when migratory birds are coming through and a lot of birds are yellow or drab colorations. When looking for a field guide, there are so many different types and kinds, so if you're birding on the East Coast, make sure you are using a field guide that is for birds of North America or birds of the eastern United States. It will make it a lot easier for you to pinpoint what you're trying to identify. Of course, when you're out in the field, you don't want to be carrying a lot of things with you. So I like to keep field guide apps on my phone, and they are really useful when you have spotted something out in the wild that you're not too sure what it is. Alright, so say I just found a bird that kind of looked like a robin, but I didn't know exactly if it was or wasn't. So I would start the bird ID, and it asks you where did you see the bird. You can go current location and the time of the day. So you'll press next. Here it'll say what size was the bird, and I would choose robin size. So little variation here. If it was really tiny, you'd want to go to sparrow size. But robin size was my bird. And then it'll ask you what main colors were the bird. So my bird was mostly black with a little bit of red. And where was the bird that you saw? Was it eating at a feeder? Was it on the ground? Mine was on the ground. So what it'll do is create a list of birds in your area that you might have seen. And mine that I saw looked like a robin, but it was actually a towhee. So I can click this as my bird, and it will keep in file that I saw this bird to help me ID later on. One of the most important things that you should remember when having a field guide out in nature with you is to always observe the bird in nature before you go and look at the bird in the field guide. Each bird has different markings, so you really want to get a good visualization of them out in nature before you go back to look at them in the book. If you don't have a good idea of what the bird looked like in nature, you might get it confused with a lot of birds in the book. So you want to make sure you really get a good look at it first before you go to the field guide. Photos are a big help. If you have a camera with you, that is awesome, but lots of cameras are pretty expensive, and the way I cheat that is I actually take my phone and put it up to my binocular lens, and it works just as if it were zooming in for me on the bird. It's a little bit unstable, but any type of picture to go back to is going to be helpful for you to identify the bird. Finally, you'll want to choose an area to walk around that you enjoy and also has a variety of habitat, so there's a diversity of birds to look at. The best time to go birding is typically early in the morning. That is when they're most active. But you can go birding essentially any time of day and still see a bunch of different birds. One tip I have is for you to get comfortable with the resident birds that live here all year round, that you can see in your neighborhood, your backyard, or your favorite park. It'll make birding more enjoyable because you'll have a level of confidence knowing that you know the resident birds, and it'll get you out to have a little bit more curiosity to ID the migratory birds that come through. On our website, we have a species list dedicated to each county park in Burlington County, and we also have a wildlife log that is updated daily with sightings from the parks by both park employees and the public. Thanks for tuning in to Birding 101. I hope to catch you guys out birding in the park soon. See you later.